In my experiences with going to God in prayer, I noticed that over an extended period of time, He answers majority of the things that I go to Him about. And a lot of times I question why certain things in life happen the way they do. Because in that time, it won't really make sense why something's happened. But eventually, later on, you'll get an idea as to why that it happened that way. And why that certain things you pray for, you haven't envisioned the way it's going to be answered, but it usually never is the way you envision. It's never answered the way that you have it in your head. But don't doubt that. Doubt comes from the enemy. And if God's going to say something that He's going to do it. He'll never leave a project unfinished. And if you go to Him about something, and it's legitimately in reason and not in vain, on His time He'll get it done for you. Or He'll put you in the place to do that, so He can use you to get it done. When I pray for a soul that sees the good in other people, a lot of times in certain groups that I'm with or around, not all, certain, I see the bad side of them predominantly. And I see good parts of them too, don't get me wrong, I see good parts of them. It's just that a lot of the times I see the bad side of the things they do. And a lot of the things that, and sometimes you can't really help who you're around. I get that, you can't really help, certain people. Some you can, but others you really can't help being around them. And when I see that bad side of them trying to include me on certain things, trying to get me to smoke, trying to get me to gossip, some people, they try to manipulate you. They really do try. But in the end, you gotta be good with evil. I'll talk about that later on, but when people do that to you, that's why it's important to pray for discernment. Because the Lord, He'll help you with that. And that's why discernment is such a big thing. It provides you a way to see another person's good and bad side. And when you've seen that good or bad side, you'll be able to let them in on certain things or draw closer to them if they're a good person. But if they're a bad person, you discern that and you're going to say, well, maybe I don't want to get as close to this person. Seeing how other people treat other people that are similar to you, Because if they're going to treat someone who's similar to you in a bad manner, like common sense, what do you think's going to happen to you? They'll treat you the same way if someone similar to you is getting treated poorly. Just like someone who's similar to you getting treated good, you'll get treated good, You're around good people, they're going to do good things for you. Like another good way I found is, like I said, if someone who you're close with or someone you just have similarities with, if they're not around and you see other people just saying bad things or going out of their way to do bad things to something that someone values, right, behind their back, chances are more than likely they're going to pull the same stuff with you when you're not there. That's a really good way to figure out if someone's, fake or not. Because a lot of times it's really hard to tell when someone's a fake person to your face. They're going to play you to your face. That's just like the whole point. But seeing how they treat others, especially when they're not there. Because a fake person's going to, be good to that person when they're there. They might even be good to them when they're there, when they're talking about them when other people are there, is what I should say. When other people are there, they might say good things about them when that person's there, but when they're not there, how are they treating that person? If someone has things around that they value, like at work or something, how are they treating those things that other person values? Are they going to destroy it and lie about it? Or are they just going to leave it as be? Or keep their word that they promised to take care of it, right? When I go to the Lord and I ask Him to give me a heart that forgives, when anyone really goes to the Lord to ask them for a heart that forgives, in my experience, expect other people to do bad things to you, or at least make an attempt. Some intentional, some not intentional. Not everything is an attack from the enemy. There's just bad things happen in life. That's just life, Because setbacks come. Not everything is from the devil or whatever. It's just sometimes that's just how it is. Like traffic going into work in the morning. Like, I mean, that really doesn't have anything going in to forgive unless someone did something to you in traffic, which I get that. That's a high stress environment, traffic for some people. But like traffic, if you know it's going to be a thing, get up earlier and go to work earlier. Don't be doing stuff at the last minute, be out the door last minute when you should have been out the door 30 minutes, 45 minutes ago, you know? Little things like that. And a lot of times, if something bad happens to you, you're more likely to put yourself in that environment. That's one of the things I've learned too. You're more likely to put yourself in that environment. So pick a better environment, or just pick a different way to go about it. And like I said, some things happen intentionally too. When that happens, you know, Romans chapter 12:14, bless those that persecute you. You know, people are going to do bad things to you. People do bad things to everybody. You know, I've been there myself at times when I've done bad things to other people. And I noticed, like, even back then, the thing that gets under someone's skin the most when they do something bad to you is when you do something really good to them in return. When you bless them in return, it could be just praising them, speaking good about them, blessing them with something that they can't really refuse. And if you're doing that for just other good, don't think about it like that if you're doing it for someone who you genuinely like, right? If you're doing it for someone who you genuinely like, you won't have that thought going through your head. You know, they might have done something for you. Hey, I'm gonna bless them back, right? I'm gonna give her something back that she gave me or whatever, you know what I mean? But those who are doing you wrong, bless them with something. Don't stoop down to their level. You know, that's a very low vibrational thing to do. Especially when they kind of team up and, you know, they start to lie and they start to go behind you and start doing a bunch of things. But just being a good person, because that's someone who isn't really a good person inside, taking trauma out on you or just doing bad things. They don't really got the right motives. Because if someone's lying, hey, that's coming straight from their heart, a heart of lies and deceit. Well, you know what's going on with them. Why are you going to stoop down to their level? Help them out. Help them out. You know what I mean? It's not that hard to help someone out, you know, who's not doing good. Someone could put up a front and seem like they're cool, but more likely they're going to do something else, you know? You can see it through the way they walk, they talk, or whatever. Like I was talking about earlier, how they treat others, especially when they're not in the room. But yeah, it's not that hard to help someone out. It's not. And maybe they can learn how to forgive too. Because once someone sees that you forgive them, and their motive was to go out of their way to do something bad to you, it will make them think. A lot of times it will make them go back and do the same thing. Some people are ignorant like that. They'll go back and do the same thing over and over again. You know, some people learned their lesson when they touched a hot stove as a child. To not do it again. Some people didn't, and they just kept doing it over and over again. So overall, forgiving them for their actions, their motives, however they feel towards you, forgiving them. You know, people project so much hate and dislike. They dislike you so much and they project so much things onto you. It's an attempt to weigh you down. You know, it's an attempt to bring you down. And it's only going to make you feel bad when you hold on to stuff like that. So letting go of it, giving it to the Most High, and letting Him fight that fight for you. I mean, all you can really do is just be a good person. Like Psalm 94, vengeance is the Lord's. Why are you going to seek vengeance on somebody when that's His? It's already written out. It's already written out, man. You know, there's no need to go stoop down to their level and do something they would have done, because they'd be happy to see you do it. If you go to God and you ask Him to help you stop with all the destructive habits that you got. You might have a lot. You might only just have one really destructive habit that you're trying to quit or get rid of. And once you take that step to do it, a lot of people won't really understand why you're doing it. And when people don't understand, a lot of times they ask questions. A lot of times they might just observe to watch, like maybe figure it out, you know? Some other people who are into the same stuff you're into, they're going to try to pull you back into it because you're doing something they can do it. They can do it. Don't get me wrong. They can, but they're not at that time. So of course they're going to try to pull you back. A lot of times people who are caught up in bad things, they're not doing it by themselves. They didn't get into it by themselves. Someone else pulled them into it, and they go on to pull other people into it. That's a lot of the times. If someone tries to pull you back, keep your guard up and guard your heart. Guard your temple. Keep your guard up. When you let it slip down is when people are going to try to take advantage of you. And a lot of times when you let your guard down, you won't see it either. You really won't see it either. So, keeping your guard up when people try to do things like that to you, that's a pretty important thing to do, wouldn't you say? And one way we can defeat that, I've already spoken on it, but the Bible tells us to destroy evil with good. You don't want to destroy another person. Their soul is just unique and beautiful as the next person, But it's what's behind, or what's kind of pulling the strings of that soul. That's what you want to destroy. It's the evil. No soul is evil, I would say. God wanted to put you on this planet if you were evil from the get-go, which you weren't, because God created you. You were created in His image. But it's the influence of this world. There's a whole demonic agenda controlling people out here. It's through music, through television, through social media. It's through a lot of things. And through those things I just mentioned, it's where we get idols from. It's where we take our eyes off God. And what happens when you take your eyes off God? You take your eyes off the prize. You start doing things that wouldn't go to His word. Because in order to do things of His word, you have to stay in His word. Or is that just me? I don't know. What is strength? Strength, you could load 225 on the incline, and you can hit that. Yeah, that's strength. That's strength, yeah. But strength to go in and day out, to do the right thing when people are looking, especially when others aren't there, when nobody's looking. That's strength. To keep your word, that's strength. And don't be surprised when the Lord puts you into that spot to keep your word, to keep showing up the places, to keep being that good person that you said you were going to be, to keep providing that calm presence that you told somebody that you'd provide. And I say that because the good things that you do for others, especially who dislike you, when you do those good things for anybody, it brings such joy and peace to your life. And when you do that, it crushes the devil. Like it was chapter 16, verse 20 of Romans. It crushes the devil. The peace of God crushes the devil. And I spoke earlier about taking your eyes off God. The enemy wants you to do that. The enemy knows that the Lord's going to come down from the heavens one day. And when He comes down, He'll be defeated for eternity. And He wants all those souls He gathered up and all those sinners that He has to go down with Him. He might trick you. He might play you into thinking whatever it is that He has you thinking to get you to stray away from the Most High. But at the end of the day, he knows, the devil knows that he's going to be defeated for eternity by Lord Jesus. When He's crushed, His servants will be crushed by that too. And not to say that someone who does something bad to you, that 1, 2, or 3 times or whatever, not to say that that person's a servant of the devil. That's not what I'm getting at exactly. Could be, but that could be the case, I should say. But predominantly of the time, it's not really. And unless you got some concrete evidence, you know what I mean? You can't really sit there and call someone a servant of the devil. So there's no real need to entertain that. But for those who do serve the devil, they know too. They do know that one day those things they've done they're going to be punished for them. And their punishment is unpredictable, but in the end it's right. So wrapping this up, it will take time for certain things to happen in life. It will. Keep obeying, stay patient, because there's little lessons and little trials and just little things that you'll go through in that time that eventually one day you'll be able to testify about. one day you'll be able to spread to someone about, who might be going through something that you went through in the past. And it could potentially save a life. Not trying to be exaggerant or whatever when I say that, but you never really know out here. It could really help someone and help them save their life. And they could go on to do extraordinary things. They could face doubt, they could face persecution, they could face all just the nonsense that comes their way. What goes hand in hand with being forgiving. You can apologize very well. You know, you can't expect everyone to just forgive you. Some people really aren't like that. Some people really don't have the best of hearts like that, I should say. They don't really got that. But a lot of people are very forgiving. They really are. And maybe you just gotta see a bunch of people forgive in order to be like, hey, I forgive that guy. Or hey, I forgive that girl. Hey. But anyway, it's gonna take some time. But you'll be happy in the end if you stay on the right path. If you stay on the right path of righteousness and not destruction, you're going to be just okay. Hey, I hope you have a good one. Have a great day. Bye.